Thanks for checking out this movie review video. So this is for the 2021 release and Shudder exclusive Dead and Beautiful, and it's coming to Shudder on Thursday, November 4th. So you can check it out then, and because of that, since I'm releasing this before it's on Shudder, this is a no spoiler review. Also, it's just a new film, so I don't ever have spoilers with movies that have been released in the last few years. So that way you can listen to this not having seen the film and understand the good and the bad about the film going into it, or you can come back after the film and you'll understand what I'm talking about most likely, even though I'm not doing spoilers. My apologies. Anyway, directed by David Verbeek, who's done films such as Shanghai Trance, Are You There, Club Zeus, Full Contact, How to Describe a Cloud, and An Impossibly Small Object. None of that stuff looked like it was horror to me, so this might be his first foray into horror-ish. This isn't like a full-on horror film, in my opinion. It's one of those films that has horror aspects to it, but it's really at the core not a horror film. It's kind of something else. But I fully enjoy films like that all the time, and I know there are a lot of people out there who do as well. The film's written by Verbeek as well as Hugh Travers, who wrote the script for Your Mother Should Know. The film is a Taiwanese film, and it is in Mandarin and English. Now, this is one of my kind of problems with the film, is that it switches between English and Mandarin, and the line delivery is not consistent. I understand that like it's totally valid to kind of do that to kind of like switch languages because a lot of countries are bilingual, and some people may not have much of a problem with it. But for me personally, within this film, how it would switch between English and Mandarin, it became problematic just because I felt like the performances verbally of the dialogue were much better when they were in Mandarin and not nearly as good when they were in English. So I kind of would have just liked to have it be just subtitled Mandarin the entire time, because I feel like the performances would have just stayed strong the entire time. Not that they're bad when it's English spoken, but you can tell that a lot of the characters, that it's certainly not a language that they're um, I don't want to say not practiced in, because they definitely are practiced in it, because it takes a lot to even deliver the lines they did that way, but it's not super fluent with the way that it comes off. So I kind of would have just rather it all be Mandarin, but that's a choice. And like I said, it might not bother everyone. So a quick synopsis about this film. It's basically about a bunch of rich kids who are just born into wealth in Taipei, Taiwan, and they have boring lives. Like, they're getting bored with their lives because they have so much, because everything's at their fingertips. They don't really have to work for anything. It doesn't actually even seem like any of them have jobs, because they just spend all their time trying to come up with fun, crazy things to do, and they take turns doing things. Now, one person takes a turn, they go out and do something very crazy, and then they all change in a certain way. And that's where the kind of horror element comes in, but I don't want to go further than that. Now, if you've seen a trailer, you definitely know more than what I just said, but I don't want to go too far with it if people want to watch it, and I do think it's a good film. The film looks great. That is the first thing that hit me right off the bat. It looks phenomenal. The directing, cinematography, beautiful. The lighting is awesome. They have a lot of cool kind of like strobe uses in it. They also have a lot of really cool longer shots, and I really like the longer shots that they do, especially ones where they use really interesting architecture. There's some outside architecture, but a lot of it's kind of like the inside of very lavish, interesting looking rooms, because the characters are rich. So it's another one of those things where it's a movie that kind of shows you a side of life that you personally don't know. Well, unless someone watching this right now is super rich, but I personally don't know. As you can tell from my basement setup, I'm not a rich person at all. So it's just interesting to see that type of architecture, and it just looks great. They do a good job of establishing the world that the main characters live in, and their kind of personas of, being bored with life, having everything at their fingertips, being able to go out and do this, that, or the other thing, and not worry about anything. It's this very carefree, but kind of like numb life, and that comes through very well with the story that they lay out. There's some stuff shot in the dark, and it's definitely too dark. You really can't see enough of what's going on. This is one of my big pet peeves with films, is when they're shooting stuff in the dark and there's not enough lighting where you can see what you need to see. It's not the entire film, but there are some chunks where this does happen in the film, and that's something that really bothers me. You really need to be careful about lighting when it comes to dark scenes. So that kind of let me down as far as the film goes. At one point, they switched to a found footage style. It's relatively brief. Not really a fan of it, but it actually did work for the situation they were using it in. And like I said, it's kind of brief. I was wondering if they were going to switch to that and then just let the rest of the film take it from there, which wouldn't have been my preference because I don't really like found footage stuff so much, especially because of the camera work's usually all over the place. But no, they just did it briefly, and it worked with the way they integrated it. So that is in there. Although I guarantee there are some people who would watch it and who are really into found footage who would see that and be like, "Ooh, I hope this is turning into found footage." Sorry, it doesn't. I do wish they would have stuck to Mandarin. Oh yeah, like I said. Yeah, it does. It definitely does seem like a few of the characters really struggle with delivering those lines in English. And if you're going to have Mandarin and English in there, like I don't really think it's a bad idea to have certain characters only speak Mandarin and certain characters only speak English, or the characters who are more practiced at it do both. But there are definitely characters who had a much harder time than others did, and it becomes tough. But I will say they keep subtitles for the entire thing. So whether they're speaking in Mandarin or speaking in English, there's still subtitles. So that is helpful. Really like the score. There's a wonderful score for this film. It fits the film really well. The subject matter of the characters fits them very, very well. Their lifestyle. A lot of it kind of fits into their kind of going out and doing things like club related and stuff like that and partying. So music, excellent for this one. About an hour and 15 minutes in, there's a conversation that reveals something very interesting about this film. Just want to note that. So it does go a little bit slow. Pacing is not great with this film, but because it looks so good and because there is so much to kind of take in from a visual standpoint, and the aesthetic is nice, and the music's really good, and the performances are really good, a lot of people will be fine with how slow it is. I would have liked it to be a little bit more upbeat, have it get a little bit more into the horror area, be a little bit more crazy, because there are definitely those types of things that could have happened, but it also doesn't kill the film. So yeah. It's pretty slow, which some people won't mind, like I already said, and there are some surprises at the end of the film. I did get lulled into the sense of like, since the pacing was relatively slow and because of the events of what were going on, I was kind of thinking this is just going to, just slowly come to the end and then just kind of end being like, and now it's done. But no, there are some things that are kind of twists that pop up at the end that I did enjoy. I thought were pretty solid payoffs. But I really do think it's about like, with credits and everything, I think it's like an hour and 39 minutes. So I really do think it could have been cut down some, or like I said, just change something writing wise to throw a little more, I don't know, oomph, pizzazz into the film, I could say. And I think I spit on the camera, unfortunately. Hopefully you're not seeing that, but I'll get that taken care of later. Almost done here. This is well-trodden ground. Just know, what's at the core of this film that horror fans are familiar with. It's very well-trodden ground, but it does feel different. It is a different take on it. The characters are different. There is something different going on. So don't think that it's going to be same old, because there are a lot of films that go at this particular subject that are very same old. So it has its own twist to it, and I enjoy that. There's a point here about upper class and how they live in their own world and interact with everyone else in a very specific, almost predatory way, just because of the, how capitalism works, basically, where people on the top basically prey on people on the bottom, and that's how they keep their wealth and stay the way they are. Now, that's obviously exemplified in this film by the fact that these are young people who never even had to work for anything. So it does really point to an issue which is actually becoming more common in the world, with people who have never done a day of work in their lives just inheriting wealth. And they don't have to. They don't have to do anything, but yet they have all this power because they have all this money. And that can create some sociopathic, psychopathic people who can do a lot just because they have money. It also raises the question of those born into wealth and if they're actually human. Not from a, are they actually a human being, but from a societal standpoint, how human do they act within society? Like I was saying, if you're brought up into wealth and you never have to actually work and you have everything at your fingertips all the time, it's kind of one of those things. And this film really kind of gives you a glimpse into at least what this film believes is that type of lifestyle. So it is interesting. Out of 5 stars with half stars in play, I'm going to give it a 3.5 star rating. I think story-wise and how it unfolds, I kind of wanted to just give it a 3, but the visuals are so great and the score is so good and the performances are really good. I got to bump it to the 3.5. So 3.5 stars on this one. Would love to hear what other people have to say about it. Go ahead and put it down in the comments when you see this film. And you can do spoilers in the comments. That's fine. We can talk about that. And then just talk about, any other horror stuff you want to talk about. But do me a quick favor, hit subscribe if you haven't already. If you have, you are awesome, and thank you very much. If you haven't, it is quick, it is painless, it costs you $0, and it really does drive me to keep doing these videos because I'm not like making money doing this or anything, I'm just doing this. So if you throw me that subscribe, I see it, and I look at your profile and I say thank you to this person. I actually do that. And it really does keep me motivated, so I appreciate that. But regardless, I really appreciate you taking your time to check this video out. And until next time, keep it brutal.